I hope everybody's like the seminar, and please give us your feedback. But also those who have friends in New Jersey and Atlanta, next Saturday we have the seminar in New Jersey, and the following Saturday we have the seminar in Atlanta, Georgia. That will be the 7th seminar of the year. So if any friends or relatives you have, please ask them. You can go and register on that. Okay, we'll have a panel session. Sadhviji, there are 2 questions on holistic science, so we'll take that first, so bear with that. And then we will... So, I will give the questions to one each to Dr. Shailesh Mehta and... one request to the panelists, try to be brief on the questions, and Swami is going to at 4 o'clock. I'd like to get all the questions or new questions coming up, and then we can always go back and you can dwell on some of the topics you want to expound on.
Shall I start? Okay, good afternoon everybody. Here is the question: would you call holistic science and living life with Vedantic principles way of life synonymous? Theoretically, I understand I and my are different. How do I lead to feeling and experiencing it at all the times? So I think there are 2 questions, but they are related. Well, trying to answer the first part of the question, let me first tell that the truth, the eternal truth, and the ultimate aim and experience at all the 3 times, past, present and future, cannot be different. It has to be one. So it is said that lakhs of Gnani will have one opinion and one ignorant people will have lakhs of opinions. Having said that, let me say why only Vedanta? Maybe Agams, maybe Gita, maybe any modality. For that matter, all want us to know who am I. Vedanta says Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Gita says Atma Yoga. Jainism says that. So after knowing who am I think the paths are common. So having said that, the ultimate aim, ultimate objective or ultimate purpose is the same. Having said that, let me share some of the things, how these are working in the current scenario, or what are the things holistic science can offer for easy sort of experiencing the same thing. Because the first fundamental thing is, whatever the modality or the faith or belief or not one is following, one which gives result is the science. One which doesn't give result is the theoretical knowledge. Unless and until the results are attained, then the second question is, what would you call as results? Of course, as I said, starting with daily living life, one which makes me clash-free, stress-free, leads to happy, harmonious human living is my first result. Second, which makes me free of anger, greed, pride, deceit, attachment and aversion, my inner 6 weaknesses or enemies which everybody has endorsed, is my second result. And the third result is to experience my eternal self, pure self, not only to experience, but throughout to remain in that awareness with ever increasing experience and be able to use that along with my mind, body, speech and interconnected relative dealings so as to lead me to the ultimate destination. Now, with these results, if I try to examine the different things, maybe anything, Vedanta, Agam, Gita, anything. So the basic problem today is, in a good times, people used to have the results through different modalities, because Ved also wants Yama, Niyama, Dhyana, Dharana, Pratyakyan and so many things. Now if I ask myself a question, can I observe Yams, Ahimsa, Asatya, Achaurya, Brahmacharya and Aparigraha in today's time? If not, how do I progress further to attain the ultimate? So this is the thing. So it is said that the holistic inner science has come as an easy, exceptional path where, and why these are not yielding the ultimate results? Because what I speak is different from what I think, and what I behave is different from what I speak. So there is no harmony in my mind, speech, body, instrument, and that's why the traditional things probably are not yielding me the results. So I am on the lookout for something which can put me onto the easy, effortless path of the results. Second thing, in the scriptures, in those times it was not required. So the solutions and visions for day-to-day living are not available, which are very much pertinent in present time. How to have a harmonious living at my home, how to have the harmonious living at my workplace. So the Vyavhar Vignan or the visions for day-to-day living are, I think, provided by holistic inner science as the unique feature which is required today, number one. Number two, there is clear-cut indication of fate and free will. What I am supposed to do as a Purusharth in my present life experiment has been given very clearly. The third thing, the concept of Pratisthit Atman or the migratory belief soul has been given first time by the holistic inner science. And at the end of four Ved says Neti Neti, this is not that, this is not that. That means this is not the experience which you are seeking. So the seeker would ask, I have learnt everything, Ved, Upanishad, everything. Now where do I go? So Ved says go to the Gnani Purus, who is a living entity, who has the experience and from whose words the Ved and Upanishad have come. Ultimately Ved and Upanishad also have come from somebody who was experienced, living, enlightened soul. So this is where I think everyone wants us to say that find out a living somebody who is experienced one. Even for that matter, if the scriptures are to be believed, Ram had Vasishtha as the one who was instrumental for him to get enlightened, and for Arjuna it was the Krishna. So at the end of the day, everybody agrees that for most of us, we need a person who is a living, who can make us to experience those particular things. So I think with these little unique features and easiness and clarity, the holistic inner science helps me to achieve the results which the scriptures want me to.
Thank you. This is the second question.
The world seems to be in turmoil. Is holistic science becoming more prominent now? How long has this awareness been around? We will try to understand, can we think of a world without, say for example, if I, as Deepakanand, I am not there, where is my world? Do I have any world? I experience the world because of Deepakanand, because of this body. So, now we come to this first question. The world seems to be in turmoil. So, this world seems to be in turmoil. And because there is turmoil here, I experience turmoil outside. What is the turmoil? First, very primary turmoil, what Dr. Mehta explained. What we think, we are not able to speak. And what we say, we are not able to do. This is a very common experience which all of us definitely have. What it means, our world of mind, speech and body is divided. And if a family is divided, husband walks his own way, wife decides, makes her own decision, the son makes her own decision. What happens? Where is the boat? You know, they give an example of a boat where everyone should be rowing in the same direction. Now, if none of them is rowing in the same direction, what's going to happen? So the boat is in turmoil. So that's how our world of mind, speech and body is in turmoil. So we need something which will give us solution in this turmoil. And holistic science has this solution. So all traditional paths, they are not wrong. Traditional paths are correct. They are not wrong. But in today's time, if you follow those paths, then you have this problem. So in the heart of all these movements, the holistic science is there. And that's how he gave the example of a living, enlightened person, like how Arjuna got his enlightenment from Lord Krishna, Gautam Swami got his enlightenment from Lord Mahavira, Hanumanji got his enlightenment from Lord Ram. So the presence of a living enlightened person is mandatory for the holistic science to work. And this is all-time principle. So we cannot say that, okay, how long this awareness been there around? It was there. Lord Krishna came on this earth, say around 5,000 years back. Lord Mahavira came on this land, say around 2,600 years back. Lord Rama was on this land, say around 12,000-13,000 years back. So it had been around, but it was not given explicitly in this manner, like how it was imparted to Arjuna through Lord Krishna's grace. That's how the grace function works. So here the holistic science works through the grace of a living holistic scientist. I think so this clarifies the, if any further query is there, please.
Yeah, that's another thing. If there's a person who has a question, if you want to counter another question for more explanation, please raise your hand. Okay. Now, I have two questions on mind control. So I'll start with Sadhvi and see if another panel wants to add to that.
They're both actually the same question. One says, how does one control the mind? The other says, how to control the mind who is always thinking of worldly objects. So they're actually both, luckily, similar questions. There's two directions that our mind goes. If you actually watch our mind, we're all aware in general that our mind is in 1,000 places. But very few of us have actually done a study of where exactly does my mind go? Because my 1,000 places are going to be different from his 1,000 places, which will be different from his 1,000 places. Where does my mind go? And what you'll find is there's two very distinct types of things that happen in our mind. One is the absolute random nonsense. This is just the literally ramblings of the mind that aren't deeply emotionally connected. They're not necessarily associated with something in the past or something in the future. They're just, I see something, oh, that's a nice color. Oh yeah, I remember when. Oh, no sense. To the point where if we had a tape recorder or a video camera in there, we'd not only be confused to watch it, we'd be bored, and we'd be horribly embarrassed because it doesn't even make any sense. So that's one half of what happens. The other half of what happens is the mind goes toward the past, toward the future. It's pulled toward things we desire. It's pulling away from things we're afraid of, which are much more specific directions. And for the first half, simple tools of meditation. This is where mantra comes in. This is where watching the breath comes in. All of the different meditation techniques, really what they're doing is they're giving you one place instead of 1,000 places. If I can take these 1,000 places that my mind randomly goes to and at least give them one thing to pay attention to. Really, it's like if you've got a new puppy dog and that puppy dog is running here and there and here and there and here and there and going to the bathroom there and eating this and jumping on that. You give him one little toy. Now he'll sit down and play with that toy. So similar with kids. The techniques of meditation is really saying, yes, your mind is like a little puppy dog, it's like a child, it's just running uncontrollably in these directions. Give it one thing, a candle flame, an inspiring idea, an image of the divine. It really doesn't matter. We now take the mind from 1,000 things to one thing. But for the other half, this is where psychology comes in. Because it's really important to understand, as Swami Deepakanandaji was just saying, what we think, what we say, what we do, they're not in concert. But why? I mean, it's all me. The limbs of my body work in concert. If I slip on the steps, if my leg gives out, my arm is going to go down to break my fall. The leg and the arm work in concert. I didn't have to mentally intervene and say my arm should go down to catch my fall. The moment that leg slipped, the arm went down. If my physical body has that level of concert, why don't I? So this is where we start to say, well, what is it that's stopping that? Where is my mind going? Because for all of us, it's going to be different. For some of us, it's going to be more the past. Others will be more the future. Others will be more an issue of something we really want. For some, it'll be something we're really afraid of, some grudge or some jealousy or some pain. We've all got our few little things that our mind tends to go to. And that's where these fields of holistic science and psychology and spirituality, where all of these come in to help us work with these. So if you find that your mind is just rambling nonsensically, give it a meditation tool. Give it anything to just quiet it and focus it. But if you find that it's always going in the same place or in 2 or 3 of the same places, then it means sit down, figure out what is this, what's going on, and work with it internally until you can become free of it. And then automatically this thought will stop bothering you.
Okay, thank you very much.
The very fact that we get thoughts of worldly things, it is because of our own interest. We have never come across things which is more valuable, more loving than this worldly thing. So we have not come across and have any idea of other happiness other than our own self-bliss. So through the blessing and grace of a master, an enlightened master, this becomes absolutely simple. The reason is we have not come across anything worthy enough than the worldly things. So we naturally get attracted to the worldly objects, and due to our attraction we get thoughts of all those things. Say for example, if I am enchanted with cars, I already have some good car, but I want a better car because I see others that is supposed to be a better car. So my attention is when I see that car. Let's say if I'm looking for a Mercedes or a BMW, then come on, that's my pleasure car, my next in line. Next time when I'm going to buy, I'm going to get this. So every time you see this car and you start thinking about it. Why? The other guy is just next to you, he said, what is there? After all, you need a car, you need some vehicle, why do you want to spend so much money after that? You don't know that. So, let me tell you, it is just for an understanding. For us, people take us in their Mercedes, they take us in their BMW, they take us in their Lexus, the front in line car, and still we are okay. I mean, people who long for it. One more thing, we come in America for say 2.5 months, and we are traveling almost every other day. And my friend who is here in America from last 20 years, 25 years, he says, I have never traveled all these places. So, and we don't even go and see. They say, did you see that place? Did you see that mountain? Did you see that river? We say, everywhere there are mountains, there are rivers, there are castles, there are forts, there are people. People who are more confused. And we need to resolve their problem rather than look at these places. But that too, if there arises an occasion to visit these places, we don't say no. But the first priority is definitely given for satsang, for such a gathering. So what is needed is our reflective consciousness, which has come across only the worldly things. It has not tasted the inner bliss. And once, one moment it tastes the inner bliss, it will never get attracted towards the worldly objects. And then you very well stay in the world. That's how Lord Krishna stayed in the world with 16,008 queens. People cannot manage one queen. They have problems handling one queen. And imagine, then we say, oh, he was Lord Krishna. No, he had the same divine vision. The divine vision shifts our reflective consciousness from the worldly objects to ourselves. There lies the importance. So, till you don't come across a master like that, whoever is your master today, you have your consciousness fully focused on him, then also you will be able to drive your mind away from the worldly objects. This is the duty and function, and I would say the responsibility of your master. And he very well takes this responsibility. So what is needed is your devotion and your surrender to your master, and you will never have this problem.
Thank you. With that, before you go to Dr. Mehta on that one, there was a question. Please explain in detail reflective consciousness. Is that chit?
Correct.
You mentioned about chit, so...
Okay. So, say, sitting here in this hall, you know where you have kept your car. So if someone says, where's your car? You immediately say, I think so, it is third or fourth from that pole. Right? And one more thing. We had a break for lunch, we had a break for tea, and we had break for two breaks for tea and one break for lunch. We all came back to the same seat where we were sitting. Yes or no?
Yes.
What is that? So once we sat on that seat, on that chair, our reflective consciousness had registered that I was there. So you don't make any mistake coming back to your seat again. Same thing, we go back to our home only. And if you have changed your home, if you change your residence, then your car never goes to your previous residence. Oh, how come I'm going to this? No, you will never go. If you come to know that someone has passed away, you will never go and ask him, how is your dad? Because that registry is there in our reflective consciousness, which is called chit. This is the best part, and we have to explore the power of chit. People who can remember things is because of the power of chit, reflective consciousness. They read once and they remember. It is how much focused they were while reading. So here lies the importance of chit. Means reflective consciousness. Pure consciousness means the pure self, which is permanent. The quality of the pure soul, the quality of the reflective consciousness is such, it can dwell within our body, it can go out also. Dr. Mayall can see his home from here. He's here in Pennsylvania, I mean Pittsburgh, but his house in Philadelphia he can very well see. What is that? In split second it goes from here to that place. That's
Okay, you wanted to talk on the mind, expand on what Swatiji and Vivekananda said, but while you're doing it, there's a corollary question to that. Are fluctuation and imagination related to mind? How? Please explain. You can dwell on that, and then Sadhviji, you can also.
Can I see what it says?
So, well, so many things has been talked. To make a thing little simpler, the relative inner self functions like a parliamentary system, and there is a mind, reflective consciousness, intellect and ego. 4 components are there. Sometimes people mix up the two. It's all right, not technically really important to separate, but it's really important to understand. See, mind, people say that when I meditate, mind is roaming. No, mind never roams. It is reflective consciousness which roams. Mind is like a physical entity which shows you thoughts after thoughts after thoughts after thoughts. It's non-tiring, non-exhausting system without any pause switch, without any stop switch. So how do I use my mind? And the reflective consciousness is one which is wandering inside, outside. But the most cardinal point what Vivekananda was trying to say is it is in search of happiness. So it wanders at thousands of places where it is believed happiness to be, or at the places of fear. Now, how I deal with my mind? Again, the minds are of 2 types. One is discharge mind and one is the causal mind. The discharge mind is one which is showing me thoughts. If I observe my thoughts in a week or in a 15 days time, I'll come to know what complexes or knots I have got. For example, suppose me or Mehul are sitting with some of the American friends and there is a non-veg meal, we probably may not have a single thought because we do not have that complex with us. Somebody else from a distance, just a talk, will have thousands of thoughts. So examining my mind, I will know what type of complexes I have got. Somebody will have thousands of thoughts of business, somebody will have none, only of the jobs. So number 1, I have got the complexes or knots which my mind is showing me thoughts at different times. How do I remain with my mind? How do I tackle my mind or use my mind? It's as if the things are going on a movie screen, like scenes or scenes which are don't liked by me, I don't fight with the screen. So the simple thing, as Sadhviji says, watch your mind is, if it is taken little ahead extra, the thoughts which are according to my goal, which are according to in my self-interest, I may sign it as yes and go into action. The thoughts which are not according to my goals, I just allow them to pass away. The most important thing, I am, is important. Unless I am mixes with the mind alone cannot drag me. And what makes me select is my filter in between of the discretionary vision, what's in my interest and what's not. So mind alone cannot drag me, but at the same time it's a useful tool. About the reflective consciousness, what Vivekananda was trying to explain was something like this. A child having chocolates in the hands will not give the chocolates. But if I give the Kit Kat, he will grab the Kit Kat and leave the chocolate. So the simple story he wants to tell us is, if the reflective consciousness tastes the superior happiness, which the superior most is of that of the pure self, it stops wandering outside, which is, we have been fortunate in a way to have that, but everybody may not have that fortune. So in that case, you have to internalize your reflective consciousness by steps, meditation, chanting mantras and other things, where it tastes the superior happiness. So this is how the relative inner self functions. And once I know the functioning of relative inner self, I think the things become easy for me. But the most important part is making the new mind. Wherever I am sighing inside with my present beliefs or present understandings, a very simple example, suppose I am a doctor. Now, after having practiced so many years, inside my decision has changed. Better I would not have been a doctor. So much of tensions, and my brother is earning so much more, chartered accountant, 25 times less tension, and he can do better charity than me. This my present inner decisions which I am signing every moment leads to the formation of new mind. That's where my awareness is required.
Thank you. Sadhvi, you want to talk about the fluctuation?
Yeah, what I was actually just going to say though is Dr. Mehta's done such a good job on this, and I see lots and lots of cards sitting up there, and we have a shortage of time. So if you'd like me to take a different one, he's handled this very nicely. So
Okay. There is one on the birds, but before that, there's another question come. Mind is complex, so, and there are no questions about that. So the question was, what is the father and mother of the mind? So Deepakanandji or Shailesh, whoever wants to, or say Sadhviji, the question is, who is the mother